Hello and welcome to this training series for Oracle Business Intelligence. Our agenda for today is to discuss the system architecture, reporting, administration, components and tools of OBIEE. OBIEE is a comprehensive business intelligence platform that delivers a full range of capabilities including dashboards, ad hoc queries, enterprise and financial reporting, notification and alerts, scorecard and strategy management. As shown on the slide is a typical architecture for an enterprise installation. We have two main streams of components. Firstly, the system components, which include the BI server, the presentation server. Secondly, we have Java components such as the administration server and the managed server. And lastly, the node manager. The administration server includes the WebLogic server, which is for managing the Java components, and the enterprise manager for managing system components. We also have the OPMN tool, which is a command line tool for managing the system components, which is generally recommended for advanced users. Lastly, the BI administration tool is for managing metadata repository. Generally, a user will interact with Oracle Business Intelligence via their web browser. This web browser interface is rendered by the BI presentation server. When a user crafts an analysis, it is sent to the BI presentation server as logical SQL. This is then passed to the BI server, which translates it to physical SQL, sends it to the data source then returns it to the BI server, and it is then rendered by the BI presentation server for the end user. The main components of OBIEE are the BI presentation server, which generates the user interface, the dashboards and the answers analyses tool, generates the logical SQL which is sent to the BI server, and renders the results for the end user. Logical SQL is SQL which is decoupled from the physical layer. On the physical layer we can have multiple different data sources, whether that be an Oracle database, SQL Server, or an OLAP cube. Logical SQL allows us to craft queries and not worry about the differences in underlying physical data access languages. Secondly, the BI server processes these logical requests and uses the repository to build and execute physical SQL against one or more physical data sources. It then returns the results to the BI presentation server. The repository file is a three-layer data model which represents the physical data sources, such as the columns, the table names, and the passwords for each physical data source. The mapping layer represents where we can make transformations to the data, create joins between tables, or create calculated columns. And lastly, the presentation layer represents what is shown to the end user in the BI analyses tool. We can rename columns here, giving them a more user-friendly name, or categorize columns. Answers is the analyses creation interface for Oracle Business Intelligence. It allows us to create, modify, and save analyses and share them with other users. Dashboards allow us to create a collection of different OB analyses on one page. Rather than have users create ad hoc reports, administrators can create collections of analyses as dashboards. Delivers allows us to create scheduled analyses that are run at a specific time and delivered to users within OBIEE or by email or mobile device. These analyses can be triggered when certain conditions are met. Other features of Oracle Business Intelligence include real-time decisions, spatial data, scorecarding and strategy management, and Business Intelligence Publisher. Hello, so what I would like to do now is give an overview of the home screen and the OBIEE user interface. This is the main starting point for reports and dashboards, and it gives you access to all areas of the application. You can see at the top of the screen is the global header. It is the menu bar for the whole application and allows you to quickly navigate around the application. In the search bar here, you can search for reports or dashboards by name. This is usually the fastest way. If you want to limit your search, you can click Advanced can see an advanced search view where you can limit searches to certain types. If you logged in as a user that has administrative rights, you should see the administration button, which takes you to the administration view where you can view all the settings. The help screen gives you access to Oracle Business Intelligence help, sign out, and return back to the home page. The catalog is where you can view reports and dashboards that you've created previously. The dashboard button is where you can see dashboards that have been created. New allows you to create new reports and dashboards. Going to the open menu would allow you to open reports that you have already created. And here you can see signed in as and then your username. Here you can easily update your account information. Now we are inside the catalog screen. The catalog screen is the main area for viewing and administering saved report. Here you can see that we have multiple different folders. If you save a report in the My folders, it is only viewable by yourself. If you save a report in shared folders, other users can also view it. I think now would be a good time to give an overview of how we create reports in Oracle Business Intelligence. So here you can see under the new menu we have analysis. You can select this and we are prompted to choose a subject area. A subject area is a group of columns and measures for a particular topic. For example, there might be a subject area called sales. So if we select sample sales light as our subject area, we then take into the analysis editor. The analysis editor is the main screen where we build reports. The criteria tab is the main tab for creating and building reports. It allows you to select columns and add them to the report layout. For example, product, brand. Click this and drag it to the selected columns area. We can then choose a fact such as revenue. Then we can select results to view the results of this criteria. So here we can see the results of this brands and the revenue per brand. The prompts tab is where we can create a set of prompts that must be filled in before viewing the report. Advanced allows you to modify saved report information directly as text. If you know SQL, you can edit that here. Next, I would like to give you just a quick overview of dashboards. Dashboards, as I've mentioned previously, are just a collection of pre-created analyses. In this example, I've created a few different graphs and KPI measures on my dashboard. You can see here that if I click on this button and then edit dashboard, we will go to the edit dashboard screen. And you can see here that I've created numerous sections and columns. This is how we divide a dashboard up, and then we can just go into our catalog and we can drag and drop a report that we have previously created or someone else has shared with us, and then save it and it will appear on our dashboard. So I just click the run button and you should see that the report that I just created should appear. Okay, now I would like to give a brief overview of delivers. So delivers is what we use to run a report a scheduled time, and it can then be delivered to different people via email. Delivers allows you to create agents that run reports and do various things. So how we create an agent is we click on the new, and then under actionable intelligence we select agent. So after I click this, we can then use this screen to specify what you would like it to do. So I can just set the priority as normal and run it as the recipient. On the schedule tab I can specify that I want to run this daily. On the condition tab we can specify conditions for whether or not the report will run, such as if sales are above $1 million US, run this report. Here in the delivery content tab we can specify what is actually sent to the recipient when this report runs. Typically this is where we would select a report or analysis. The recipient tab, where you specify who will receive the results of the request, and the destinations tab, where we specify how the results will be sent out. So here we could specify that it's sent to a digital phone or handheld device. And actions, where we can specify what should happen after this agent has finished running. BI Publisher allows you to access multiple different data sources and create pixel-perfect reports. You can see here I have an example. This is pulling data directly back from an Oracle database that has no correlation with Oracle Business Intelligence or a data warehouse. It's just a straight relational database. So what I mean by this is that BI Publisher allows you to access any kind of data source to create reports. If we go into administration, the first step is defining our data sources. So you can see here I have, if I select JDBC connection, that I will be presented with my JDBC data sources. Here I have one particular data source that I'm going to show you. This is an Oracle 11G data source. Here we can just specify the address of the database and the username and password. We can then go in here and define a data model. So here we can define our data source. So I've chosen source OLAP, and then our data sets. Can specify an SQL query and use the query builder to choose what we'd like displayed for this particular report. So in this example I'm going to choose an animal and the owner. So here we can define the join between these two tables by clicking here and dragging like this. And then we can select what we would like displayed on the report. The name of the animal, the gender, the family name of the owner. We can save this. Here you can see that it's created SQL for this particular report. So here I will save this and press OK. So here we have a visual representation of our diagram. We can look at the data itself by clicking here just to make sure it's working. So here you see this is the data that is being pulled back by this particular report. Basically to show you how it looks at the end after you've created it. So I've specified a graph and a table to show the owner details. This can then be included on dashboards as well. What I would like to give a demonstration of now is the administration tool that we use to create the repository file, also sometimes referred to as the RPD file. The administration tool runs on Windows only, and it can be found by looking under the Start menu, Business Intelligence, and BI Administration. A repository is made up of 3 layers: the physical, the business model and mapping, and the presentation layer. So for this demonstration I'm going to give you an overview of the RPD file. So this icon here is for creating a new repository. Opening a repository offline, you want to open a repository file that is not being run by OBIEE server. Opening online is modifying an RPD file that is currently being used by the Oracle server. Here you see a check-in. This is when you're working with an RPD file in online mode. You can check in the changes. Physical diagram shows the physical objects and the joins between them for the currently selected object. New join. This is what you use to create a physical or a logical join between 2 tables. New table is creating a new physical or logical table. Here on the right side we have the physical layer. We can expand this sample light data and see more information about what is defined here. The physical layer is a representation of the physical sources that the OBIEE server can connect to, whether that's a relational database, a flat file, The primary purpose is to tell the OBIEE server how the objects within the physical data sources are related to each other. For example, the joins between the physical tables. The knowledge of these physical relationships is what allows OBIEE server to create the query to send to the data source to retrieve data. You can see here we have, it looks like a plug interfacing with the database. If we click on that, that is the connection pool. This is where we define the information that will connect OBIEE server to the physical layer. So each database in the physical layer must contain at least one connection pool. So here you could specify where the data source is, the username and the password. In this example, it's connecting to an XML source, so we don't need to specify these kind of details. You can see here that we have table names that are ending in D or F. This refers to the data warehousing concept of dimensions and fact tables. So we can see here inside this sample revenue fact table we have these columns. This is the primary key, and within this dimension for sample time days we have the day key and so forth. Looking at the business model and mapping layer, the business model and mapping layer is an abstraction of the physical layer, which converts the physical model into a more logical layout. This is where we spend most of our time as an OBIEE developer. So here, if we look at the D1 product logical table, inside we have sources. This is the logical table source. Each logical table must map to one or more physical sources. So here we are mapping this logical table to D10 product on the physical level. So if we look here, D10, so this table is mapping to the D10 table. So here at the top we have what is called a business model. The business model is the top level object in the BMM layer. It is a grouping of tables and dimensions which are logically connected, and it should expose the physical layers in a similar manner to the way users think about the business information, so they can understand it. Because obviously a business executive might not understand what SAMP targets if is, so we would rename that to a more user-friendly term within the business model and mapping layer. So as an example, I will now show you how tables are joined within the business model and mapping layer. If we select revenue-based measures, these and these dimensions, and then right-click and select physical diagram selected objects only, we can now see that offices is joined to facts, and by clicking on this join condition we can see more about how this join is defined. So we are joining office key from offices to the office key in the revenue facts table, and it's a one-to-many join. Next, I would like to give a demonstration of how we define a hierarchy. So a hierarchy defined within the business model and mapping layer allows you to drill down through results. So for example, here we have product, this logical dimension. We can see at the lowest level we have the product detail, which is the product number. Then we have the product type key, the line of business, and the brand. And then at the top, all products. Just to show you an example of this, if I open up answers again, and I create a query that has the products hierarchy here, and then the base facts subject area, I then pull across revenue. So I can then click on results, and I'm shown revenue for all products. And you can see next to all products there is a triangle that you can expand. So if I click this, I am then shown a breakdown of revenue by the line of business, the brand, going all the way down to the product detail, which is the V5X flip phone. So coming back here, you can see that this is how we define that kind of hierarchical dimension. We next have the presentation layer. The presentation is the final layer in the repository, and it is the part that's visible to the end user within the OBIEE web interface. So this layer is made up of subject areas. So you can see these are our subject areas. We have sample sales light and sample targets light as our two subject areas. Within that we have presentation tables, and these are our columns: calendar date, per name week, per name month, etc. And here at the top you can see this is a presentation hierarchy, so we can expand this going all the way down to the day detail. So this allows us as shown within the answers, to drill down, but in this case it is not through a product hierarchy but a date hierarchy. You can see here when we look through our presentation tables we have time, products, office, orders. When we go and open up answers and we look through sample cells, light, subject area, we also have time, product, offices, orders. So you can see that this is what is displayed to the end user. So now I would like to start the administration portion of this introduction. How we generally start the BI server from within a Windows environment at least is to navigate to the Start menu. And then we go to All Programs and Oracle Business Intelligence. Under this we can find two pertinent options: Start BI Services and Stop BI Services. So this is the recommended way of starting BI services. We just navigate in here and then select this from the menu. And then two windows will appear that begin the process of starting the WebLogic server and the BI server and so forth. Normally, if this is the first time that you're running this, you will be prompted for a username and a password. I haven't been prompted because I have already run this previously. So normally you would enter your WebLogic login password or whatever name that you've created for your administrator. This would then be saved in this encrypted file, boot.properties. So if this file exists, then you won't be prompted to enter your password. So the next thing I would like to show you is how we deploy the RPD that we have created, this being the RPD file. So after we've finished with that, we can close that file and then navigate to our browser. And we want to log into Fusion Middleware Control, also known as the Enterprise Manager. So the URL for this is your server name, your port number, followed by /EM. After specifying your login details and clicking login, we should then be directed to the overview page. So here we see on the left side of our screen Business Intelligence. We can expand this and we find Core Application. We'll look at the overview to begin with. Here we have an overview of the system components. So we can see our diagnostics, our most recent warnings, and we can see that 100% of the system components are functioning. So here you see on the Availability tab our presentation service, our BI server, BI Java host and cluster controllers, all running perfectly, no problems. We can get an overview of our log messages, our errors and warnings. So here on the repository tab we are able to see information about the repository file. If we want to deploy a new RPD file, the first step that we want to take is click the lock and edit configuration. When we click that button, it stops others from making updates while we're logged in as the administrator. So then we can specify here the repository file that we want to deploy. So we would locate that, put the password in, click apply, and it would publish that so it would be live for users to query. If we also wanted to bounce the system, we could simply hit restart and it would restart all BI components. So after we've made our changes, then we can activate changes or release the configuration. That will unlock the configuration so others can then make updates. Okay, so then we can click done, and then you can restart to apply those changes. But if we navigate back to the Farm BI Foundation domain, here we can see all the internal applications running, system components and Java components. Generally, if we want to administer the Java components, we do that through the WebLogic server, which is the console URL you can see here. So we can log in. So we see the domain structure here, the BI Foundation. You can select that, and we've got configuration options for our Java components. We have here the administration servers running, and the health is okay. And here in the security realm, if we select my realm and then user and groups, we can create new users for the Oracle BI system, or change the details. Here we've got WebLogic user, we can change the password and the groups that they belong to. For example, here we've got administrators and BI administrators. This concludes our brief introduction to Oracle Business Intelligence. I trust that you've enjoyed our lesson for today and hope you can come back next time. Thank you.